go ahead and get started. So if you can take your seats, we'll go ahead and get started. I need this mic to be really low. Okay. Good afternoon and Happy New Year. Good afternoon. Happy New Year. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause for showing up today. So, welcome to 2020, a new decade, a sense of renewedness and waiting for great things to happen. And we're gonna start by doing that now with we're gonna swear in our newly elected officials, and we're gonna have fun, and then afterwards, we're gonna go upstairs for the dedication of Mayor Tommy Allison's room, but we'll go ahead and get started. For those that might not know who I am Jennifer Crossley, and thank you. And I am your Monroe County Democratic Party chairwoman. In 2019, in January of 2019, I was caucused in, and most importantly, I'm the first person of color to hold this position. And in 2019, we saw a rev up of our municipal elections. In our primary, we saw some very first-time candidates come out and run and put themselves on the line. And to them, I would like to say thank you for doing that, because that takes a lot of courage and dedication to do so. Also, for anybody who didn't quite make it to the finish line, I definitely want to tell you thank you for also running as well. You deserve acknowledgement too. So, the vision, hindsight 2020, and you're gonna hear that all year round because everybody's gonna be saying it. My vision for 2020 is change, growth, and season. In our great city, there is change that people are calling for. In our state, there is change that is definitely needed. And in our country, well, we all know that there's definitely change that needs to happen. But in this year, I'm asking for all of us to come off of Facebook, to come off of social media, because this is a great and amazing crowd, and I would love to see people out like this as much as we can. But I'm encouraging you to get to know somebody today who you might not have known. There's so many familiar faces as well as unfamiliar faces that we all need to get to know, because it's going to take all of us in this room and beyond to make the change that we are definitely wanting to see and the change that is necessary. So, I don't do resolutions, but I do goals. And my goal is for all of us to continue to come together, to do outreach in our community, and for us to be at peace with each other. Let us love one another, let us communicate with each other, and let us respectfully agree to disagree and vice versa. Now, if you are a candidate-elect that is about to get sworn in today, would you please stand? If we have anybody that ran last year who didn't win, would you please stand? No, you guys keep standing. Now, spouses and friends of those, would you please stand? It's basically the whole room. And, yeah. Good job. Good job. And if you volunteered for any person that ran last year, would you please stand? Or gave money, or did anything, would you please stand, if you're able to? To all of you, thank you. Thank you so much for your hard work and dedication, sleepless nights, hours of canvassing, lost family time, and anything that came with it. You definitely deserve the gratitude, and for that, we are thankful. Now, for the moment that we've all been waiting for since November. We are now going to go ahead and go with the swearing-in ceremony, starting with Mayor John Hamilton. Okay.
Why don't you guys come, we're going to come in. Come in front. Yeah, we don't need to sit over there. Don't worry about it.
Over here?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
thank you.
Not a problem. Mr. Mayor. Please raise your right hand and repeat, and I'll say this for everyone. When I say "I," then fill in your name, okay?
I'll try.
Okay. I
John Hamilton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and diligently
impartially, and diligently
discharge and perform the duties of Mayor of Bloomington, Indiana,
discharge and perform the duties of Mayor of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my skill and ability,
and to the best of my skill and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. You gotta, no, you don't do it. Now, here, John, I'm gonna have you take this over there.
Do our paperwork, government
That's right. No problem. So take it over there and those get.
Stand right here.
Stand right there. You do want so help me God, right?
I need all the help I can get.
Okay. You got to hold it so she can put her hand on it. Raise your right hand, please. I
I, Nicole Bolden,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and diligently
impartially, and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Clerk of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Clerk of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my skill and ability,
and to the best of skill and ability. I screwed that up, didn't I?
a little. So help me God.
So help me God.
All right.
All right.
On a personal note, for those of you that don't know, Nicole is my daughter, so it's an especially proud moment. for her. Is Susan Sandberg here? And that's fine. And we didn't have it. Tell her, Sarah, tell her. Please raise your right hand. I
I, Susan Sandberg,
affirm that I will support
affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and diligently
impartially, and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my skill and ability.
and to the best of my skill and ability.
Congratulations.
You may.
Now, don't leave. I need you to. We're going to change this because Steve isn't here, so just to make it semi-official right now. Okay, and you can take it over there, but just hold on to it, and then we'll hook you up later, okay?
And we'll follow the same procedure. Okay, so you ready? I
I, Matt Flaherty,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently
and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my skill and ability.
and to the best of my skill and ability.
Congratulations. And Jim, you ready? I wish you all could see this view. And if you'll repeat after me. I
I, Jim Sims,
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently
and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my skill and ability.
and to the best of my skill and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You got it now? I'm ready. Are you ready? Okay. If you'll repeat after me. I
I, Kate Rosenbarger,
Affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently
and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law,
and to the best of my skill and ability.
and the best of my skill and ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. That was mine. Ready? I, Susan, oh, you say your own name. Sorry.
I, Susan M. Scambaluri,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently
and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my skill and ability,
and to the best of my skill and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Sue? I'm gonna take that over there, okay.
Yes, cute baby too.
He's like, okay. You ready? So if you'll repeat after me. I
I, Ron Smith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently
and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my skill and ability.
and to the best of my skill and ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I, Dave Rollo,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and diligently
impartially, and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of the City of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law,
according to law,
and to the best of my skill and ability.
and to the best of my skill and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, Dave? Dave. Please raise your right hand, ma'am. Thank you. I
I, Isabel Piedmont Smith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and diligently
impartially, and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my skill and ability.
and to the best of my skill and ability.
Congratulations.
Be signing all the rest of them, but take these over and you sign this copy and the other one, and we'll get you your copy.
This one.
There's a contrast. Okay. I
I, Stephen Volan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and diligently
impartially, and diligently
discharge and perform the duties
discharge and perform the duties
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
of City Councilor of Bloomington, Indiana,
I'll let everybody in on it in a minute, according to law
according to law,
and to the best of my skill and ability.
and to the best of my skill and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you see what it says? I suppose I should let everyone in on it. There was a typo, and the reason I hesitated is because it says of mayor.
Thank you all for being here. That was a beautiful and kind of combination solemn and joyful litany of folks. And I'm so glad that you were all here today to be part of that. I'm going to make a few remarks. I do hope your new year is going well, 12 hours in. You should know this is our 202nd year as a city. We're in the middle of that. And I just want you to know, too, it's kind of fun. We're entering the third decade of the third millennium of our common era. That's what 2020 is, third decade of our third millennium. And on this day of beginnings, let's first thank, if you would join me, 4 outstanding public servants who are concluding chapters of their service today in Bloomington City Council with a total of 48 years of distinguished service among them. Please give a big Bloomington thank you to Allison Chopra, Dorothy Granger, Andy Ruff, and Chris Sturbaum. Please thank them. One of them's here. And Andy's up here. Everybody else is here. Thank you. I want to thank also all the other elected officials and all of you who are here. I know several have come from other places. Gathered together in these official chambers, we are also humbled to look back and remember that Native people, Miami, Potawatomi, Delaware, and Shawnee, among others, long lived in these southern Indiana hills before being largely dispossessed of their homelands by the early 19th century. This acknowledgement is important in this space and at this time. Since our administration began 4 years ago today, we focused on a number of basics: increasing good jobs and affordable housing accessible to all, supporting public safety and public education, investing in our public assets and infrastructure, and enhancing the quality of life for people from all walks of life in an inclusive, sustainable community, as well as making government more transparent, innovative, and accountable. Together, we've made good progress. Please join the State of the City event on February 20th for more details. But in a partial reminder, we protected the quality of our drinking water and transformed our sanitation system. We opened Switchyard Park and turned a century-old building at the mill into Indiana's fastest-growing co-work space. We celebrated our bicentennial with thousands of new trees and miles of new trails, and we passed a school funding referendum. We made government more transparent, more innovative, and more accountable than ever. We infused our budget with values like $15 an hour minimum wage for all city employees, tripling employee training budgets, and doubling basic infrastructure investments. We've also together directly addressed some daunting challenges: new approaches to homelessness, substance use disorder, violent crime, joblessness, our farmers market, and more. These and many other efforts will continue and expand in 2020 and beyond. With a full table of work in front of us, I am so very pleased to have taken this oath of office with 9 dedicated colleagues and friends on the City Council, including 4 new members, and with Nicole Bolden, our re-elected City Clerk. I want to thank the council members and the clerk and their staffs for what we have done and what we will do together. I want to thank the incredibly engaged and active public who step in so often in this community. And I want to thank all of the city employees for all they do day in and day out. People who lead departments, many here, people who fix water lines and clean wastewater, people who respond to crimes and accidents or fires or falls to keep us safe, people who pick up trash and recycling, who sweep streets, fill potholes, plow snow, drive buses, provide decent housing, rescue animals, install sidewalk ramps, guard swimming pools, schedule concerts, lead summer camps, support entrepreneurs and artists, and on and on. If you would please join me in thanking and letting our employees know how much we appreciate what they do every day. Thank you. Now, a little context for today. 4 years ago, as we met in this chamber, we were at the start of Barack Obama's 8th and final year of service as president. Let's take a breath. Think about that. Much had been achieved nationally, and more was in progress. The Affordable Care Act, the Paris Climate Accord, CAFE standards, and the Clean Power Plan, recovery from our Great Recession, protection for dreamers, marriage equality, historic changes in our national self-image. It seemed a national spirit and climate fostered big dreams for continued progressive change across our country. Then 3 years ago, Donald Trump won the presidency without a popular majority and after unprecedented direct foreign interference in our democracy. Since then, we've seen rising nationalism, divisiveness fueled and exploited, anti-immigration vitriol, gun violence continued, record income and wealth inequality, environmental protection rollbacks, and climate change news getting more and more alarming. Bloomington ourselves didn't change on that 2016 election day. As a community, we still embrace the same values and believe in the same things. But the world around us did change in ways that frustrate us and that demand more of us. It helps me, I hope it helps you, to remember in these turbulent times that democracy, the power of the people, took root in cities, communities just like ours in ancient times and in our country's own history. That cities across America today are leading, and we among them, to help chart the path forward, to rebuild trust, to pursue big goals. We here need to be the builders and the sustainers of our civic institutions and our civil values. We need to embody the precious characteristics that we pursue: justice, inclusion, equity, trust, liberty, to pursue the beloved community, the more perfect union. In these turbulent times, we also need to keep our eye on the horizon, not let today's headlines or criticisms distract us from doing what's right for the long term of our community. We need to think today about what the Bloomington residents 30 or 50 years from now are going to need and want. Taking that long view, today I'm proposing two important points on that horizon, two overarching challenges that I believe should guide our approach. And I'll remind us that we are a both-and city. We can and we must meet multiple challenges at once. In that spirit, first, we must work together to save our planet, to be sure that we all have a place to live in the future, that we address climate change and its existential threat to our physical environment. And second, we must work together to make sure that as we save the planet, every one of us has a place of dignity and respect in that future, a role to play to be sure that everyone belongs in the sustainable economy and society that we build. This combination is difficult, but essential, it seems to me. The dual challenges of responding to global climate change while simultaneously protecting individual human dignity and opportunity, I believe, are two guiding principles to steer us right here at home. The stakes are high, as we all know. We are in a climate emergency on this planet, and that means for all of us, we have no planet B. The ignorance and the arrogance of the Trump administration have been disastrous for climate at a time when we have no time to spare. Less than 2 weeks ago, two renowned rainforest scientists said the Amazon is, quote, teetering on the edge of functional destruction, and with it, so are we, close quote. Combined with recent news about the thawing Arctic permafrost and the accelerating melting of Greenland's ice sheet, the scientists urged that, quote, the tipping point is here. It is now. At the state level, perhaps you saw recent news that our essential Indiana Department of Environmental Management has suffered drastic cuts in personnel and budget over the past decade. We also know that many of our fellow residents, brothers and sisters here in Bloomington and around the country and the planet, face enormous challenges in making ends meet, in finding housing, in building a brighter future for their children, in navigating the new economy, in facing bias or exclusion. Tens of millions of jobs are at risk. Wealth disparities worsen and threaten our democracy and society. Life expectancies are dropping, and younger generations and some of our neighbors wonder whether they really have a place in the mix. We cannot leave people behind. Now, as a community, we've been working very hard together to address both dimensions right here at home, confronting the existential challenge of climate change, as well as protecting individual dignity and opportunity for all. Our community is deeply committed to working towards sustainability on the environmental front as a tree city, a gold bicycle community with the state's highest per capita bus system, with $10 million of bicentennial bonds focused on trees and trails, with a LEED Gold City Hall and more rooftop solar per capita than any community in the state, with new green stormwater financing and water conservation measures, with our first sustainability plan and greenhouse gas inventory and our waste to energy task force, just to name a few examples. And on the social equity and opportunity front, we've seen pre-K funding and the new Crisis Diversion Center, our jobs program with Centerstone, new financing and tools for hundreds of units of long-term affordable housing, our living wage ordinance, our Jack Hopkins grant program, as well as the Bridges Initiative report issued Monday on racial inclusion. But we must do more. The times and our future demand it. One quick note. Of course, a great deal of our collective efforts must be aimed at state, national, and global political levels. This is particularly true in this national election year. It demands of each of us intense political activity to elect a president, Congress, and state and local leaders to address these issues head-on, and to support advocacy organizations that work for policy changes such as Climate Lobby, Climate Strike, and more. 2020 is a critical year for this political mobilization. 2020 is a critical year for local direct action as well. And today I'm sharing two major announcements to respond to the dual challenges, saving our planet and supporting each individual in dignity and opportunity. First, I believe our community needs a climate change working group, a green ribbon panel. Government is a leader, but it cannot be the only leader in responding to our climate emergency. We must lock arms with our private sector, our nonprofit sector, our education community, and all of us to address climate challenges. I'm calling today for the creation of a collaborative body, empowered, resourced, and engaged to identify and support local efforts to address climate change, to mitigate and adapt. That's number one. This needs to be beyond city government. We need partners like our largest employers, our civic institutions, our experts, our activists, and with a multi-generational approach. This should be beyond city boundaries. We need to work with county and regional partners, and this should be prompt. I'm urging that this group be created within 100 days of today to undertake the hard cooperative work to address the climate emergency. Second, and this is a big one, we have to recognize that major new efforts require new resources. It is neither sufficient nor prudent to address the challenges of climate change and economic inclusion by cannibalizing vital existing resources and efforts. Today, I'm calling on our local income tax council to enact a new annual funding source for a sustainability fund focused on supporting mitigation and adaptation in the face of climate change, as well as climate justice and inclusion for all. I'm calling for a 0.5 percentage point increase in the Economic Development Local Option income tax to be enacted in the next 6 months to make manifest our commitment to a better future for our community and our world. Many details lie ahead, don't I know it? Including, most directly, how new revenue should be allocated, from public transportation, mobility, and demand management to public and private buildings and infrastructure, to clean energy and affordable housing, to climate justice and green jobs, to the innovation economy, and how to include all of us in that future. Our greenhouse gas inventory helps identify main sources of emissions: buildings, transportation, power, and trash. Our sustainability plan outlines many potential steps. And again, collaboration among city and county and region and beyond will be essential. Let me be clear that I do not propose a revenue increase lightly. But I believe that the times and our future demand it, and that as a community, we are in a position to afford it. Among the 20 largest cities of Indiana, Bloomington continues to enjoy among the lowest combined local income and property tax rates. Our local income tax rate is the lowest of our 7 contiguous counties. We are in a position to take the bold action needed. Raising our local income tax 0.5 percentage point from 1.25% to 1.75% will generate approximately $8 million of new annual revenue for critical investments. And by the way, a similar amount at the county level. Our combined tax rate still would be low among other cities, and our income tax rate third lowest out of the 7 contiguous counties, and well below the current state 2.5% cap. These 2 steps, a new green ribbon panel and a new sustainability fund, I believe are needed to support bold, effective local action, keeping our eyes on that horizon and focusing our 50-year responsibilities to our planet and to our people. All around us, young people, those with many decades of life ahead of them, are demanding that we confront these challenges head on. I agree. We have a wonderful community with real challenges. We have real momentum on progressive changes with an urgency to accelerate. We need to listen to the voices of the future. 2 Nobel Peace Prize winners, the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, together wrote, quote, "No dark fate determines the future. We do. Each day and each moment, we are able to create and recreate our lives and the very quality of human life on our planet," close quote. I am an optimistic person, and I believe Bloomington is an optimistic community. We won't be paralyzed by fear or gloom. In tumultuous times, in an emergency, we pull together. We act together for our planet and for our people. And we must live in hope. Dare I say, even joy. I love the words of our nearby sage, Wendell Berry, who said in his poem, Manifesto, the Mad Farmer Liberation Front, quote, "Be joyful, though you have considered all the facts," close quote. Be joyful, though you have considered all the facts. Yes, indeed. We must consider all the facts, live in them, with them, own them, still, together in this wonderful and wonderfully blessed community, still embrace joy and hope and action. I sincerely look forward to working diligently with all of you in the coming term, and I thank you all for being here. When the ceremony here concludes, I hope you'll head upstairs to dedicate a room to a visionary leader, former Mayor Tommy Allison. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, where is Gavin? Where's Gavin? our master of ceremony, or Jennifer. I believe what I'm supposed to do now is get out of the way, but Gavin, I didn't know if you wanted to be the MC. If anybody else wanted to make comments, they're welcome to, as I understand, on the agenda, and then their closing comments as well. So I'm going to step out of the way. Thank you very much.
So this year we wanted to do something a little bit different, and allow any of our council members that are newly elected, just to get up, just to say a few remarks. If you want to say thank you to people that you weren't able to say thank you to, we just want to allow just a few minutes of those time, or your time to do so. Everybody who wants to speak has to speak, but if you want to, the floor is open. So,
I just wanted to say, on behalf of the Board of Judges of Monroe County, thanks to all of our city officials and city government. And I'm happy to be the representative for all of us, and we hope that the county and the city will continue to work well together throughout the year and throughout the decades. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Thank you all for coming. At the risk of incurring the wrath of some, I will be brief and say a few of these words. First of all, I want to unabashedly thank God for blessing me with the skills and abilities that I've been given, that I've been blessed with, and that I use as part of deciding legislation, making decisions I think is what's best for everyone in this community. We don't get here by ourselves. So I just want to take a few brief minutes to thank everyone, or the majority of the people that helped me get to this point that where we are. I want to thank the community supporters and the voters. Even though we did have a pretty low voter turnout, we've had it for a while, I am grateful for the folks that put their decision-making on the line, pulled the lever, and put myself and 8 of my colleagues and some other elected officials back in our seats, and we just simply want to do what's best for this community. Now, we don't do this by ourselves, and again, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Lou Robinson. He's my campaign treasurer. If you know anything about Lou and his family, that his motto is, if I watch the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. I appreciate that. Mr. Kim Cotton, he is a graphic artist and web designer, supremo person. I really appreciate it. I don't have those skills. When I ran for office in 2003, my yard sign was designed by ex-council member Tim Mayer. Now, Kim took that design, put his own little spin on it, and I thought it was rather nice. And the website and all of my campaign literature, couldn't have done it without you. Kim, I really appreciate your help. Again, not being by yourself, Kaiser Goodman, Peter Iverson, the Monroe County Democratic Party, and our chair, Jennifer Crossley. These are all folks that were very, very helpful to me. There's things called, and many of you don't know this, it's called VAN. I couldn't have got through all that without the help of these folks, and I am just so, so grateful. I also think that many of you know, over 30 years or so or longer, all the organizations that I've belonged to and what I work with is about eliminating racial discrimination. It's about social justice, and it's about social equity. Not only for black people, brown people, people of color, marginalized folks, disenfranchised folks, underrepresented folks, but all folks. I try to ensure that every legislative decision that I make is part and parcel to that thinking. I just think we deserve, the folks that voted for me deserve it, and that's kind of the way I'm wired. Many of you in this community have worked as long as I have in doing so many things, so I know I'm going to forget some people or some organizations. But briefly, I just want to thank groups like the Monroe County NAACP, the Indiana Coalition for Public Education, the Monroe County Black Lives Matters organization, Monroe County Democratic Black Caucus, and there are many, many others. Like I said, I hope no one feels slighted if I didn't mention, but we've been working a lot of years, and I'm old now, so I can't remember them all, I'm sure. The last thing I want to leave you with, it is hard to be the first of anything, and particularly if you're one of those aforementioned groups that I mentioned. In that vein, I want all of us, and I want to thank this gentleman, and I want to acknowledge him, Mr. Paul Swain Jr., who was a city councilor in 1992 through 1996. He was the first black person elected to this city council. I want to thank him and acknowledge him for blazing the trail for another person like me, and hopefully we can blaze the trail for others to participate as we move forward. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and Happy New Year to all of you. Happy New Year. Before I just get the little closing remarks, I do want to say thanks again to Tegan, our executive director, Jennifer, our chairwoman, Sophia, and Kaisa for their continued work here with the Monroe County Democratic Party. I also would like to give another congratulations to Steve Olin, Isabel Piedmont Smith, Dave Rollo, Ron Smith, Sue Scambuluri, Kate Rosenbarger, Jim Sims, Matt Flattery, Susan Sandberg on our city council. Also congratulations to Nicole Bolden, our city clerk, and to Mayor John Hamilton. So congratulations to those returning, and new congratulations to those new members joining our administration. So before we head into this new year, let us talk about vision. Vision for this new year. It almost seems too appropriate when we discuss vision in sight that 2020 is what we strive for. Well, here we are. We just heard from our mayor and other elected officials, and they are clear with their vision. They're focused, driven, and ready. 2020 is here. When we talk about vision in sight, too often we rely on hindsight. And though we know hindsight is 2020, and while we can always recall hindsight for reference, what about our foresight? What are we doing to improve our foresight? Well, how do we develop our 2020 foresight, and what can we do so that we do not always rely on hindsight, but rather deal with the challenges and problems of the future? Proper planning promotes great foresight. This inauguration does not signify the end of our battle, rather it is the beginning. The upcoming election this fall will undoubtedly have serious, long-lasting consequences. I don't have to go on and on about that, and you probably don't want to hear me drone about it. But I am going to ask you for help. To you, the community, join a board, a commission, or a grassroots organization like Monroe County National Organization of Women, Indivisible, No Space for Hate, the 9th District Latino Caucus, the Black Democratic Caucus of Monroe County, and the Democratic Women's Caucus, or one of the other boards or commissions we have here. Do this and help us to find pragmatic solutions to the current and future issues facing our community and others in the area. And to our elected leaders, continue to be clear with your vision. We cannot help if we do not also see as clearly as you. So thank you so much for coming out today. Have a wonderful 2020, and let's have a great year. Thank you.
All right, so you've heard it all, and now we thank you all so much for coming out. And without further ado, we are going to have a reception outside, and then shortly after that, we're going to go upstairs for the dedication of Mayor Tommy Allison's room. What did you have? Okay, all right, thanks. Happy New Year.